and I was out in Tanzania, and I was doing a bunch of these like meetings and stuff. And I was like, "Do you have like a tripod?" And she gave me her tripod stroke ring light. Now,
Oh, you have the fancy shit. Very Maxxx of you. Yes. All right, let me get my little lamp across over here. See if we're good to go. What's going on? How are you?
You know what? I'm blessed and highly flavored. You know.
Yes, I think it's the Real Housewives tagline.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, is that what the Real Housewives tagline is?
It's one of the many.
I got to start using a new one because I don't want to. I want to be biting a Real Housewives. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to figure out a new phrase.
It's okay. It's a good one though. It's a good one to take. I watched all of Maxxx last night.
Oh wow, nice. Thanks.
It's really good. Easily digestible, and it's all you. I mean, writing, producing. Did you direct on it too?
Yeah. I co-directed
Jesus
first 2 episodes.
Christ. All of it, it's all of it with you giving your all to it. How much of Maxxx is you, and how much of OT is Maxxx?
You know, the thing is, actually, I think with all characters that I've done, like I've done maybe 40 TV shows and movies now, and I feel like every single one of them is me. Like each one of them, there's a Walt Whitman quote that goes, "Do I contradict myself? Very well, I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes." And I think we all do. We all, you know, sometimes like to be alone, and sometimes like to be around other people, and sometimes we're mean, and sometimes we're kind. So, you know, we've got all of us in us, and so I just try and kind of reach in and extrapolate the parts of me which are most like the character.
Well, initially the character, you had it back in 2017. So how did Maxxx come back per se?
Right. Well, so what happened is in 2016, I was pitching some projects to the Channel 4, and long story short, they liked Maxxx and they said that they would fund a pilot. So the 2017 Maxxx, which you can find online, you can find on YouTube, was they gave us very little money to go and try and prove that we could make this show. And of course, they're like, we're a black production company, black executives, black writers, black producers, you know, and that doesn't happen in England. And so they want to test us out, and we did it. We smashed it. They liked it, and they wanted more.
Good. I'm glad they gave us more. It's so good. And I saw the YouTube. I was so glad. What's her name? Is her name Helen?
Helen.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got her back. She's so good.
She's so amazing. Yeah.
When writing a show like this, where do you draw from? Where do you get your ideas? And is there any influence in your life? So where do the ideas come from for a show like this?
You know, it's funny. Like, I'm a Stephen King fan, for better or for worse. A lot of and he talks about how he finds his stories. He says they're like fossils in the ground, and his job is to chip away and brush away everything that isn't the fossil and try and bring it out as intact as possible. And I don't know what that dimension is that inspiration comes from. I don't know I don't understand the universe well enough to be able to say, yeah, this is where it comes from. But most of my stories just come intuitively. They come, I mean, some of them, actually, to be fair, I went to a few years back, I was staying at a friend's house, and she's involved in some kind of nefarious activity. She lives in this crazy house, and I was there, you know, I'm relatively straight-laced, and this wildness going on all around me, you know, people doing drugs and having sex, and then I was like, what? Anyway, and so that was the basis of my idea for episode 2, because that was a friend of mine in Hollywood, and I was like, oh, you know what? Like seeing the backstory of like one of these crazy Hollywood households might be an interesting thing. So yeah, so for sure. Sometimes I take from real life, but other times I don't know. It comes from the nether reasons.
From the imagination. Okay, we'll take it. Part of the show is I love your relationship with your adopted son. Talk about that decision to put a son in there and why, and the reason behind it, his kind of his storyline.
Yeah, you know, I think fatherhood, I guess, is something which we're all very connected with, whether our fathers were there or not. You know, I was mostly brought up by my mom's single parent household, and you know, I think it's it's just one of those fundamental human struggles that boys have with their fathers, and how boys and fathers connect. And so I was just really, something I wanted to explore. I wanted to explore with an older boy, and so and I thought the adoption thing was funny. You got Brangelina and Madonna adopting, kids from ethnic minorities, and so I just thought that was a funny conceit. But for me, I want to explore fatherhood a bit.
And it was great. I think you guys you had great chemistry on the show as well.
Yeah, great. Alan Assad.
Yeah, he's amazing. Another unsuspected gem, Jordan Dunn, who we all know and love. And what was that conversation with her like? It was like, come on and do this with me.
Yeah, well, luckily, my boy Stefano Moses, who's a music video producer, and he had done a Drake music video, which Jordan was in, and they got on very well. And so we were like, yeah, okay, you give us the hookup, and he hooked it up.
Well, he did, and she did her thing.
She really did. She really surprised me, because you never know what you're going to do, because we knew we needed it to be a celebrity. We needed it to be someone that was out of Maxx's reach, someone who was like on the mountain. And so you never know if they're going to be able to act or not. And she can really act. She's very charming and very great at improv.
I mean, this is spoiler. Anyone watching right here, this is the time to pause and watch the show and come back. But the 3 months part threw me for a loop. I was like, wait, you guys are only in a relationship for 3 months? I was like, wait, all of this for 3 months? What is happening?
Yeah, you know what? It actually comes from, I had this, very intense love affair with this lady. This is a number of years back, over a decade ago. And yeah, and then at the end of it, I was like, we broke up, and I was like, hey, listen, you sure, and we've been together for longer, but she sent me this email going like, listen, it's only a couple of months, and it was the most cutting thing I'd ever, actually, I know she was just trying to be mean, because later on she revealed it. But at the time, I was like, why you want to do our relationship like that? Like, and so I just thought I'd give that to Maxx. And to be honest, for me, I think it's still ambiguous how long they're actually in a relationship for. I think there's a possibility that she was just being like, stick the knife. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
She was so sure. I was like, really, Maxx? Really?
Listen, that email was pretty short to me. I was like,
God, clearly you didn't work some shit out in this show.
Listen, that's what art is for, I think, like it's like you kind of share your vulnerabilities, share your experiences, and hopefully other people can connect to it.
No, totally. And you had to do so much. You were juggling so many hats with this show. How have you, like we mentioned before, you've done so many other amazing projects. How have all your other projects prepared you for Maxx?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I'm lucky to have some really great mentors, and I think the projects I've done have put me in contact with some great people. I couldn't name them all: Julian Silver, Mark Tonderai, Sarah Soleimani, like a bunch of. So one of them is just to connect with people who are like, "Yo, hey, I can put you on. This is what helped me." Even on Handmaids, actually. Mike Barker, who was the one of the main directors on Handmaid's Tale, and Bruce Miller, they let me into the writing room, they let me into the editing suite, they let me shadow Colin Watkinson, let me shadow on the last episode of the last season, just so I could get my engine revving on a level to kind of create something which is of some note.
No, and you created it well. Another lovely gem about the show that I love is the music. Were you involved in all the music? I'm sure you had to create some of it. I know it's.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like my process generally and everything is very collaborative, and so I collaborated with my brother Rockwell and Ma, and we had Vince, who's our composer. So between us, we did it. But one of the main song actually, I wrote the verse for 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Will we be getting more music from you? Are we getting an OT album?
I don't think so. I mean, you know what? They're trying to, the producer, my brother Luti from Luti Media, is trying to get me to make to release some music from the show. So we very well might do that.
Okay.
But I have no particular musical ambitions. I love music. I'm like, it's part of my heart. But yeah.
Maybe you'll come out as Maxx, and Maxx will have a CD.
Yeah, exactly. My alter ego. That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. Speaking of your brother, is he making a cameo? I think he made a cameo, right? In the
That's right. So
yeah.
my little brother, who's one of the most extraordinary people I know, it's worth checking him out. Luti, L-U-T-I, Fagbenle, and he runs one of the most successful black production companies in the UK. They've got like 3-4 billion views on YouTube. Like unbelievably talented. He's worked with everybody, and he's also a very good actor. And so when we were putting the boy band together, I was like, bro, why don't you make a cameo in this and play? He's got dreads and he's beautiful, and so yeah, so he comes and make a little cameo on it.
I saw. Are there other? I mean, there's some great cameos. Speaking of your brother, we got a Backstreet Boy in there. Another spoiler.
Yeah.
Is there any other cameos that we might have missed? I mean, just like sprinkle from your life, like that are just
Yeah. Well, Larry King makes a view on it, and Lamar, who's a big R&B singer in the UK, and but funny enough, we filmed Kelly Clarkson. We filmed a cameo of her, and it's so good, and she's so good in it. But it just didn't, in the editing process. Sometimes you have to kill beautiful things so the whole is better. So we had to take it out, but we were like, look, let's hold that for next season, kind of thing, like because it's really funny.
No, it's so funny. Part of the show was the cameos, and then Jesus Christ, what I love most is how how he interacts with everybody and his arc. And you have Christopher Maloney in here as well. Icon, how did you nab him as well?
Well, again, that's Luti the G. He just kept on telling me to think big, and there were some great English character actors that I was considering for the role. There's a guy called Michael Burton Shaw, who I've known for 20 years, is so brilliant, and that he was kind of like, I was like, look, he's a genius, and Luti was like, look, we can get a big American star for this. Who would be your dream person? I was like, I ain't got time for dreams, bro. I'm trying to make a TV show, and he was like, tell me a dream person. Who would it? And I just watched Happy recently, and I was like, all right, cool. Christopher Maloney.
So good.
Yeah, he's so good in that. And I was like, look, Christopher Maloney, get Christopher Maloney. Now leave me alone. I can get on with real life. And then next week he was like, yeah, Christopher Maloney read the script. He loved it. He wants to chat to you. And I was like, what are you doing? I got on the phone. He was like, yeah, I love this. And then next day, Chris is flying to London. I'm like, is this real life? It was.
And good. And you could tell he was so excited about it and so enthusiastic about the project, which is always what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the show, you are part of a boy band of past. I have to ask, what's some of your favorite boy bands back in the day? Who did you take cues from? Because I saw a little mixture of everybody.
Right. Who did you think it was a little like?
I got a little of like RL and a little Boyz II Men in there. With sprinkles of like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, all of that, and then we had some UK boy bands like JLS and all of them really. I tell you, number one, my favorite boy band when I was a kid was Boyz II Men. Like I was all about that slow, smooth R&B soul vibe. But there's a documentary, a Bros documentary called When the Screaming Stops, and it's hilarious. It's like The Office, but it's a documentary. It's like a real documentary about real people. And it's like, anyway, I'd written the whole show by the time I'd watched that documentary, but that served as a greater inspiration for me too.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Season 2, are you cooking up ideas already? What are we thinking?
Yeah, it's bubbling, and also more than that, there are other writing projects which I'm in development for and stuff like that. I think I'm really, one of the things I think has happened over the last few months. So it was something that's always been in my head is our underrepresentation behind the camera, and that kind of thinking that like it's gonna take people to to demand, like we're doing that. We're trying to demand it and we're trying to make it happen. And so there's almost like I feel it on my shoulders, like I've got to make content. I've got to try and contribute more to this so we have more representation. So there's and also because I got stories to tell. And so so we'll see. So Maxxx 2, it's got to come out in the UK first, but in the meanwhile I'm working on a couple of really exciting projects.
Amazing. And then of course, and while we're kind of on the subject, but I have to bring it up. You know, the current movement happening in the world and everything that's happened with the pandemic and Black Lives Matter. How has that affected your creativity and how you express yourself and going further for your projects?
Yeah, it's been an extraordinary time. I think on a personal level, I have a charity called the ABC Foundation, which you can find on my Instagram page, and it's abcfoundation.me. And basically, we're dedicated to providing tech opportunities, tech learning to young people in Africa. And so over the last few years, we've provided tech training to 100 young women in Zimbabwe through the Induna Trust. And as the BLM movement, you know, had its next wave, I was further kind of like inspired to be like, well, what is my part in trying to support Black people? And I think, I'm closely connected to Africa. I just spent most of the quarantine in Tanzania, and I was doing some community work out there. And so I was like, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm trying to dedicate more time to helping Black lives in Africa, some of the most underserved Black people in the movement. And so I think on a personal level, so we've doubled and tripled up on the ABC Foundation. And, so anyone who wants to get involved, we're taking donations of laptops and like old used phones that can go directly to these young people in Zimbabwe and help with their learning. On an artistic level, I'm always trying to, even in Maxxx, I don't know if you connected with any of that, but even in Maxxx, I try to touch on is race, culture, or color. I touch on, the idea of like, does fame make Black people immune from prosecution, or does it make them more liable for it? And so in all my work, I try and infuse the sense of my political and philosophical thinkings.
No, I agree. Even the conversation about the N-word in the show, I think, was
right
handled well then.
Right, he gets to use it.
Yeah. Then that whole conversation, just even sparking that conversation, I think is a step in the right direction. We were talking earlier about your brother. You have a really creative, cool family. Is it kind of competitive with all you guys? Everyone's so talented.
It's super competitive. But you know what? It's all with love. But like, we all play basketball. We go hard. Like we go hard. People come out of with injuries from our, we play Monopoly. It's like it's intense. But like I said, it's not like we want each other to rise, and so it's almost like it's in the fire that the iron is forged. And that's kind of what we're trying to encourage ourselves to do. So, shout out to my sister O-T Fagbenle, WNBA player, Daps, music video producer, Rockwell, music producer. I could go on and on. Like my siblings are one of my greatest inspirations for sure.
No, and we love that. We love a talented family. We stand. I can't let you leave with asking some Black Widow. It's just too good not to. I have to. We're coming out in November, hopefully. Thank goodness. Mason, just tell us, because I know Marvel has you guys on the strictest NDA in the world. Just your experience, like filming that movie, because it's so big. What was that like?
You know what? It can be really overwhelming because you're aware of the size of the famousness of the actors involved and the production and the money that's going involved and the stakes for your career. But I think oftentimes, and I think it's just like generally for life, when things get overwhelming, I just try and bring myself back to the present, to the now, and just like trying to figure out what's the best next step. That's all I have to figure out, And so it was this amazing experience. But I guess what I'm saying is that, that it could be very overwhelming. And so the challenge was just to bring myself back to the present and connect with the person opposite with me. It's Scarlett Johansson. No, there's just this character in front of me, and I have to do my job as an actor to try and influence them to whatever trying objective that my character's trying to do. And so it was just an extraordinary experience, and one that I think people are going to be bowled away by this movie. I love a bunch of Marvel movies. There's some I don't like. This is one I love. I think, not because I'm in it, because I think it's sick. And so I think people are gonna really, really, really dig it.
How was it working with Kate? Because Kate, I think I love Kate, and I love her previous stuff. What was that like? And being one of the, the first, I think at least she's the first female solo Marvel director for sure.
Right. Well, she's an extraordinary person. She works in a very organic way. One thing I only found out, like, with working with her, is that she adopted 2 African children. Like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, I know. I was like, oh, okay, like, wow, like, amazing. Because adopting is such a commitment of love, and so, when done right, and so, yeah, so she comes at life and her work with a kind of compassion and engagement, which is rare.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this, I think we can talk about because it was in the trailer. What I saw in the Black Widow trailer was the diversity of like different Black Widows. Um, Talk about a little bit of that, having that kind of diversity on set and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I don't know what I can say without spoiling too much, but I guess I don't know what I can say, bro. Like, it's good. It's good. We love that
Good.
version.
I almost got you. Oh, no, I don't want Marvel coming after either one of us to take down my little video. But I'll let you go on that note, OT. I appreciate it. I'm super excited. I know everyone's gonna love Maxxx, and of course, Black Widow is gonna be probably the biggest movie ever. So we'll
Nice,
see.
thanks. Yeah, so Maxxx is on the Hulu. Everyone in the
Yes,
States, check it out. And yeah, it's been great talking with you, man.
yes, we'll do this again soon.
All right, take care.
All right, man. Bye.